All right, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Sioux Falls Athlete. First of all, I have to apologize. Last week we didn't have a show. I had a great guest on. It was actually one of the best ones I think that we've done as far as information for athletes. None of which was usable because of a problem with software that we had. I feel a little bit better in the fact that not just me, but other podcasters that use that same software have been having problems with that all over. So we're not using that for a little bit, so it sucks because I really like using that software a little bit, but we're going to, like I said, hopefully at least have a better show today. So I apologize for those two guests, both Jason 2 weeks ago and then Nick this last week for having great content, but me failing on that end and not having a good enough setup, I guess, on the software side. But I wanted to introduce first my guest today. It's going to be Jordan Miller from Run to Gun.
What's
How are
up,
you, sir?
Bruce? I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
I'm excited about this. I've been I guess when I was a kid, I used to hunt all the time, and so I'm really excited to see kind of get the foray into okay, I'm not only a hunter but I'm an athlete. So I guess talk to me a little bit about how that started.
Yeah, definitely. So interesting concept, right?
Yeah, because you wouldn't normally put the two together, and when
Right.
and honestly, I didn't either until one of my friends on Instagram, Chris, he's from Fargo, said, "Hey, you got to have Jordan on. He's a great guy. He's a great resource. So, and people need to know about that." So,
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, people don't always think about a hunter being an athlete, but if you think about what an athlete really is, right, it's somebody who has to overcome physical and mental demands no matter what their activity is. And so whether that be on a court, a field, or out in the wilderness, it's all the same, right? We have to overcome. So, the physical tasks and the mental tasks that hunters face out in Mother Nature can be huge, can be daunting at times. So it's just I saw a big niche there that as I was growing up, I was in college, and I grew up totally just loving watching my great uncles, my grandfather, and my dad do these hunts.
mm-hmm.
And especially my great uncles, you'd go to their cabins, you'd go to their houses, and they'd be loaded with just beautiful mounts of bighorn sheep and mountain goat and elk. Those top of the line hunts that a lot of guys want to do, but a lot of times those place huge physical demands. And as they were getting older, they had a ton of preference points to go on some of these hunts. So it takes years and years and years to draw them. So you can't just put in an application and draw in 1 year. And as they were getting older, they maybe lost some of that confidence and they quit applying. And probably at those times of years where they were getting really close to drawing, I think my grandfather had like 33 years preference points for one of his elk tags, and he stopped applying. And that hit me kind of hard. And I was still in college at the time, and that's when the concept of Run to Gun really got started. Because I was like, man, like, I don't want to, like, I still think he's physically capable of going on the hunt, but he didn't believe he was. And so, that triggered something in me to be like, hey, I need to provide something out there to prolong these guys' hunting careers, right? To be able to go on a hunt with their grandchildren when they're older, or go on a hunt that they've always dreamed about. Because financially, even some of these hunts are insanely expensive. And a lot of times we don't have that kind of money until we're older, right? And that's the goal. So, it was one of those things. I want to prolong some of these guys' hunting career, or with our TV show, be able to inspire and empower people to just live a life beyond the linear confines of average and accomplish some of these goals that they have.
So talk about that a little bit. You have a show, I believe it's on Midco Sportsnet, right?
Yeah, we started airing on Midco Sports Network 5 seasons ago. It's actually funny that I'm here today because our season 5 premiere starts this Sunday at 10:30 on Midco. So
that was unintentionally perfect.
It's kind of funny, I know. And so that happened really funny too. I was working with a buddy, Nate Burdine, and they filmed my promo just for my business to train these hunters. And we filmed this promo, and we were sitting around, and he's like, dude, this would make such a sweet TV show.
Mm-hmm.
And we joked around about it, and he's like, I can get you a meeting with Midco. You can pitch your idea. We can pitch this, and you make a TV show. And I'm like, I'm a 22, 23-year-old kid. I'm like, oh yeah, let's do that, And so we went in there the next week, pitched it, and I think it was like July or August when we pitched this. And they're like, yeah, when can you have a season, 13 episodes? I'm like, oh, yeah, let's start January 1st. That sounds really cool. And walked out of Midco and had a TV show. And I sat in my car and I'm like, I don't even own a camera. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. And so somehow we fumbled our way through it. It was definitely a pilot season, but I feel like we've got it pretty well figured out now. So
nice. Yeah, that's what, sometimes that's the best thing, if you can go in there and just say, well, I have to do this now, rather than sitting. If you, I'd say this, at least this would be on my end. If I would have sat there for 6 months and tried to think about it and prepare, I probably would have scared the crap out of myself to not actually do it. So
right.
Just jumping into that probably helped a little bit, maybe. But
most
that's
definitely.
awesome.
Most definitely.
So, and then what time does it air, and what time, or I guess the schedule for that? Do you know yet?
Yeah. So on Midco specifically, it airs on 10:30 on Sunday mornings, and I believe we moved from 9 p.m. on Thursday night to 10 p.m. on Thursday nights after the Summit League plays and some of their TV shows. So just post that. We do throw all of our stuff up on YouTube as well after it airs on Midco, so you can check out our YouTube channel, just Run to Gun, and then we do air on a couple online distributors like Carbon TV and things like that. So
very nice. Yeah, I've Pluto TV is one of those too now that I'm seeing that, like, it seems to be picking
I've heard
up.
about that. Yeah.
So, talk to me a little bit about the background. How did you play other sports when you were younger? Did you play sports in college? Things like that.
Yeah. So I grew up in Murdo, South Dakota, so 500-person town, really tiny.
What is it? They have like the big auto,
the big car, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the car museum there. So a town that thrives on tourism, but basketball has kind of been the heart of that town for a lot of years. Harold Thune grew up there, is from there, and he was a basketball player, played at Minnesota, things like that. He was World War II hero. And so basketball is just a big thing there. It kind of revolves. Gerald Appleby, a huge part of that town that has just been huge for basketball. And so I grew up, living, eating, sleeping basketball. That's pretty much all I did. I hunted and played basketball. That's all I really cared about.
Sure.
And so I obviously had dreams to play at a high level. And being a 6'1", averagely athletic dude, I played at Dakota Wesleyan, which was fun for a couple years, and I ran some track there as well, and had a lot of fun. Got a great education at Dakota Wesleyan, and enabled me to stay close to family and still enjoy my hunting. I had some opportunities to go out of state, and at the end of the day, it was like, I'm so addicted to being out in the outdoors. Right. I don't want to be far away. I thought I did, and then when it came down to it, it was like, I'm gonna miss it too much. So
yeah. What did you major in?
So I majored at Dakota Wesleyan in sports exercise and wellness. Also played around with a little business minor as well there. And so
that's smart.
Yeah, and so it goes together, right? My interest, I really didn't know what I wanted to do my senior year of high school. Because all I ever thought about was basketball. You think that's going to be your career at a young age. You just have these
for sure. Why think about anything else? I mean, I'm going to make it in the NBA. I'm going to have
exactly.
4 houses, 12 dogs, and all sorts of stuff.
And so then reality starts to hit, a little bit, and you start realizing. And at the time, I was training down in Las Vegas with Athletes Performance and Buenos Impact Basketball.
Okay.
And I had a trainer there, and she was phenomenal. And so, and I knew how much she was helping me physically and mentally to get better. And that just really interested me and spiked my interest in this is something I could do. Like, I have energy. I love to help people. Mm-hmm. And so that's what really dictated where I went to school. Because before I was going to go to a couple of these different out-of-state schools, one in Wisconsin, a smaller school, and they didn't have a sports exercise major. The closest thing they had was a PE major, and I was like, I really don't want to be a PE teacher. And so, Dakota Wesleyan came on, and they had my major, and that was a dictating factor that, for once in my life, I thought about education first before basketball. Sure. So it was a good thing.
Yeah, look at it, turning into an adult and stuff, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird when you turn 18.
Yeah. How long were you in Vegas?
So what I would do is I work for my dad. He owns the Range Country Lodging there in Murdo, and I'd work for him, as much as I could, and I'd save my money, and I'd save enough to go down to Vegas for like 7 to 10 days at a time. Mm-hmm. I'd get a hotel room right across from the training facility, and I'd stay at that training facility for 12 hours a day, and we'd do like a lifting, or we'd do like a shooting session in the morning, shooting drills, and then we'd have a lifting session. Foam rolling, stretching, really teaching the basics of strength and conditioning. And, you go eat, you recover a little bit in the afternoon, you go back in the afternoon, and you would do another on-court session, followed by a shooting session. So I mean, it was rigorous, but it taught me, it prepared me for college basketball. Got to play with some really cool guys. Like one week I was there my second time, and we pulled in. My guy picked me up. I got into Vegas late, and this was my senior year of high school, and so this was back when like Sebastian Telfair was kind of a big deal.
Sure.
And I like watched all of his highlight tapes. And the guy picks me up at the airport. He's like, "Hey, do you want to go to Sebastian Telfair's house?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And so he pulls me up. He takes me to this house, and sure enough, Sebastian Telfair opens up the door. He's the only point guard to ever get drafted out of high school to NBA. So I got to train with him all week long. Super cool guy. We went to his house every night. You think that he'd be like an arrogant dude, and he had like one TV that was a huge box TV, the old school, with a Nintendo 64 with one game, the 007. And it's like we just played some. He ordered us pizza, and we played some Nintendo 64. So it was cool to get to train with somebody that high level, and that was when you kind of understood, like, okay, this guy's first step is so fast that I don't even move my leg to guard it before he's by me. Kind of thing. They're just a next level athlete, So that was a good wake up.
Yeah, I can remember playing the Nintendo 64, that same game where you had to have a big TV because, I mean, if you're doing multiple players, you got this little bitty screen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So getting into like obviously the show and things like that, but from looking online, you had like 30 clients for this run to gun. Is that, you still seeing that, or is there still quite a few more clients? Or
yeah, and our business is always changing. When we started it, we were playing around with it back in 2011 and kicking out more 2012. There was a couple of companies that were coming out at the same time with doing some things like this, and or that followed us, and they were doing a different model. We chose a model of, hey, we're gonna do specific tailored programs just for you, and so I spent a lot of time with you, email, phone, things like that. So obviously very time consuming. We're adjusting our model now just as we're getting busier, and we still offer that one-on-one personalized care with workouts just for you. But now we're actually going to kick off here really soon in the coming weeks, a new model on the back end of our website, a members section where we'll put our workouts, our daily workouts every single day that people can follow along on. And there's a couple hundred tutorial videos, example videos, so you know that you're doing it with proper form. And so it's like $9.50 a month just to follow along and have your daily workouts tailored for you right there. A little more economical option for some people because the one-on-one's a little bit more expensive. So
sure,
just
let's
options.
Bring that up actually, if you could go over to the go to desktop 2, and then bring it up on. It should be already up on there, on one of the tabs. There we go.
Yeah.
So that's the website, and I know that you do some Skype sessions and stuff like that as well for people that maybe aren't in the Sioux Falls area.
Right. Yeah, we've had clients actually as far as like Mexico City.
Man.
So that was like our international breakthrough right there. One client.
Having to brush up on your Spanish.
Right.
And then if we can, if you don't mind, I'd like to play a video real quick of just a little snippet of you and a buddy of yours, Austin, who I know really well.
He's an amazing dude.
As well. Yeah, there we go. You got him.
Okay, yeah, so this is season 3, I think, right here.
Most of the time you guys are training at Great Life?
Yeah, I love the
Wood
Lake facility, man. It's phenomenal. And it's updated even since this,
Yeah.
This was a couple years ago. It's I love the space there. It's phenomenal. Austin's one of those guys. If you're gonna hit a session with him, you better be ready to go.
Yeah,
he brings the intensity.
I think Austin decided he wasn't going to go taller, so he was just going to grow wider. So, and I don't mean like in front.
Yeah, we were getting ready for an elk hunt here.
3 very important things. This is number 1 of the 3 keys you need to be doing for elk prep. Deadlifting.
Absolutely.
Full body motion. So much of the body and mind is engaged in this lift. And when you're preparing for a hunt, it's not always physical, it's mental as well. So co-host Austin Kilgard is going to be walking you through what I'm thinking about and what I'm focusing on when I'm deadlifting. Let's hit it.
Let's do it.
We've already done our big reps today. And so this is our cool down. Just a few reps to work on our range of motion. And Austin's going to be talking through it. Here we go.
All right, so get set up here. You're going to want to keep the bar nice and close to you. Okay. Get your grip. Keep your heels planted. We don't want to press with the toes. We want to brace that stomach into the belt. Roll your lats back. Keep your back tight so we don't round. Press through the heels. Breathe out on the way up. Squeeze, good. Keep the core tight. Return, keep that bar close. Nice straight path up and down. Breathe out, good. Good, keep the abs tight. We want to keep that core strong. We want to protect that low back. We want to keep the back nice and tight. Good. Working on back, hamstrings, core, glutes. Good full body motion.
Austin does a great job of cueing here. It's awesome.
So,
Yeah, not too much.
As you heard Austin say, I am all the way up to that bar. That bar is on my shins. I am sat back in my heels, so my glutes, my hamstrings, and my lats are activated. Once those are activated, I am pushing my core as tight as I can. With or without a belt, I am tightening my core as tight as I can and driving heels to the floor, pulling hips forward. That is a deadlift. That is a proper deadlift, how to strengthen your entire body and mind for this coming elk season.
That's awesome. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, it's first of all, I have to say deadlift is one of the hardest ones for us, or for me, especially just because in our sport, you're taught so much to be on the balls of your feet. For me to actually get back on my heels, it's I don't know, like this sounds bad, but like when we first started, if we were on our heels, like a coach would tape a tack to your heel, right? So if you're actually if you sat back on your heels, that tack is going to go into the back of your foot. And so, like, it's so programmed into me now. So, like, whenever I'll try to do a proper deadlift without raising up my heels, it kills me. So every time I impact my back, it seems like when I do deadlift, like you said, if you don't get back on your heels and do that properly, you're going to hurt yourself. But man, it's tough to get out of that modality. So.
Yeah, and there's other ways. You're kind of seeing like a modified sumo in that video. Since then, I've kind of switched over and have done more of a conventional deadlift, that feet closer together. I just found out it works better for my body. My hips feel so much better. And it's more of that explosive stance, right? You think about doing a vertical jump, you're not way out wide. So I kind of went from that powerlifting position more into an athletic stance position, because I wanted to get better at like power cleans, snatches, hang cleans, things like that. So I moved my feet in and just started to adjust. I had to improve mobility to be able to do that, but it was good things to work on, especially as I get older. The mobility is key, right? And so with that stance, I actually have to balance we talk about the heels being on the floor. With that conventional stance, I've actually more balanced my weight, through the middle of the foot versus just driving through the heels. So it's kind of interesting how things adjust and move as you continually to grow as an athlete.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. So talk to me a little bit about the requirements, because I was talking to actually Lucas, one of our boxing coaches, yesterday, and he said, hey, that's actually good that you're going to have him on. I went out to an elk hunt. I can't remember where he went. I want to say Montana maybe, but that's but just the demands that he was totally unprepared for, and so talk to me a little bit about the demands, because I suppose your average Joe wouldn't think much about that. So
obviously a little different than maybe East River deer hunting, where you can drive them down section lines, that are a quarter mile, half mile apart. So my biggest experience with elk hunting, I've been really lucky over the last 5 years to do a lot of elk hunts because of the applications I've been putting in for so many years. I've got to do a couple in New Mexico over the last 5 years. A couple archery hunts have been phenomenal. And the biggest thing that I've learned is anybody can get through a day. Anybody can maybe suffer through a second day. But a lot of mornings we're putting on 8 to 10 miles by noon, by 11 o'clock, because we're getting out there before sunup to get in position for these elk when the sun rises, when you can legally hunt. So when you're putting in that many miles that quick, and then, for us, it was really hot early September. We'd go back to camp, you fuel your body with some food, you'd rest, and then you'd go out. For us, we weren't doing a lot of calling in the evening because it was so hot, so we'd hit up water holes that we'd found that we scouted. And so it was a little more sitting, but you still had to hike in, a mile and a half, 2 miles to a water hole. So we were getting in 12 miles a day-ish. And a lot of
this
guys,
isn't flat.
This isn't flat country. Yeah, this isn't South Dakota, right? Yeah. We're at, where we were at, it wasn't crazy elevation, between 8,000 and 10,000 feet. So not insane, but we're flatlanders out here at 1,500, 2,000 feet, right?
Right.
So I've hunted in Colorado where it was 11, 12,000 feet and 13,000 feet, and you're camping at 8.5, and you're hiking up that every day. It sucks. Like it'll rip you apart.
Yeah, and it's weird because you don't I've trained a lot in that higher elevation, not a ton I should say, but I'd like to think a lot, but just the idea of what you feel fine, and all of a sudden you're like, why am I dying out? Rather than like it. To me, it's never hit me like, oh man, it's bad. It's just one of that progressive. All of a sudden, I can't hardly move. So
yeah, and so you're going to be able to actually. It's really cool that you asked that question because our first 2 episodes of season 5 coming up this Sunday and the following Sunday hammer this same point. So it was a 6-day hunt, and my dad shot his elk on the second day. I'm giving you guys some heads up. I've ruined the episode. And we packed that out that night, and it was a couple mile pack out, and but straight up and then down a rocky face. And so you're doing this after a full day of hunting, and then getting up to 4 hours later to hunt again. And it was a 6-day hunt for me, and you're going to see this on the second episode in another week, and we talk about how, hey, like we get to this last canyon where we're pushing up to get after an elk, and we talk about the fatigue. That starts to hit us because it does. You get that, you get to that 60th mile, that 65th mile on day 5 and 6, and you're pushing a heavy pace, trying to be quiet and trying to be successful on the last day of your hunt, and it all starts to hit you. You're a little malnourished, you're a little dehydrated, and if you weren't trained, if you weren't ready for that, you weren't going to be successful. Physical preparation was the difference in killing an elk on that trip.
Yeah, and like you said before, you're waiting forever in order to get this tag, and then you don't want to go and waste the trip by not being properly prepared for it, and then okay, now I'm having a terrible time because I'm not feeling well.
Right. Yeah, and then you're not enjoying it, right?
Right.
You should be enjoying these memories. They should be positive memories. And we joke around, when we're in the field, when we're packing out, we have a ton of pounds, and you have a 80 to 120 pound pack on your back, packing out the meat. And we joke around when you're a ways out there that if it isn't miserable, it isn't memorable. And so that's my term that gets me through those tough miles is I just remember that. And it's true, those hunts that were really tough on me and physically demanding, those are the ones that I'm like, gosh, I want to do that all the time. And I just think about, I might be the only one out here right now that gets to go through that kind of suffering and enjoy it. And it's pretty cool because it sets you apart and it makes you different. And, in a world full of just commonality and mediocrity, what better way than to set yourself apart and go through a little suffering,
Sure. Yeah, I agree 100%. Talk to me a little bit about the nutritional side of it. Obviously,
man, yeah.
That's a huge part of it too.
Completely overlooked, right? We talk about there's been a ton of studies that the very elite athlete versus the generic athletes or just generic performers. A couple key things make the difference, and it's not always the training; it's actually the nutrition and an extra hour of sleep at night. So it's super key. I've been really lucky over the last couple of years to work with a nutrition company called LifeBase that's getting rocking here. We're coming out with a really cool app that's going to solve some of these because nutrition's hard for people. There's so much information out there that it's very confusing for people. But the key is, if you look back and you look at like the ratio of breast milk, it's really cool with the carbohydrate ratio being very high. And the fat content and then the protein content. So I believe, I could be wrong on saying this, hopefully I'm not, but I believe breast milk, mature breast milk, like not the colostrum right away, but is like 55% carbohydrate, around 35% fat, and 10% protein. So you're kind of thinking, wow, that's pretty low protein, right? But when you compare it to the ratio of body weight of the baby, it's actually like 0.9 grams of protein per body weight of the baby.
Sure. So
it's actually like kind of the same as what a registered dietitian is going to tell you. There's different stuff out there where the athlete needs to be higher. And then you think about, okay, yeah, the baby eats how often, right? The baby eats every 2 to 3 hours. And so you think about how God created us with this. That stuff's not messed up until we as humans mess that schedule up of eating every 3 hours and getting in a great ratio of protein, carbs, and fats, and not necessarily eliminating one. Right, so this really cool that we've done so much studies with this LifeBase company, and this app is going to come out and really solve these issues. It's going to integrate so many realms of fitness, nutrition, supplementation, and food. It's going to combine all those and help solve a lot of problems for people. So that'll come out here pretty soon. It's coming out this year. It's going to be a really neat deal. So
yeah, that's great. Like I said, that's one of the biggest mysteries I think in almost all of athletics is that nutrition, and fueling your body. That's something that I think I'll probably be battling most of my life. So
right.
Let's go to a quick commercial for the gym, and then we'll be right back. Also, big thanks to Team Howe. I've had a chance, obviously, Howe Plumbing and Heating, had a chance to work with their Josh's two sons. They've been trying to almost kill each other every single time they come in here for boxing, so we're trying to pepper down that attitude a little bit, but they're definitely getting after it, so it's been fun to watch those two come in. They're already good athletes in hockey, and now we're trying to make them slightly better boxers, I guess. So, and also big thanks to Science Nutrition. They've been here with us since day one. You work in Max Muscle now? Is this what I'm hearing?
Yeah, a little rumor out there.
Right.
Yeah, they went through a big buyout. So,
sure.
Yeah, I'm helping out with the rebrand.
Oh, very cool. Like I said, that's we had a joke about that this morning, but like I said, I don't think anybody will have problems with that at all. So, but a couple more things that, like I said, I wanted to go over your YouTube channel and like you said, most of the episodes are on there. If people haven't seen the show before, or at least it looks like they're in segments anyways, that must be in between the commercials and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So we have seasons 1 through 4 up there. Season 5, like we talked about, is going to start airing. So that's going to be, if you want to see really fresh, new content. I always feel like we get better year to year. If you want to go back and have some good laughs, go back and watch season 1. But yeah, I mean, season 3, I feel like is where it really takes a turn. Season 2's not bad. Season 3 really takes a turn. My brother took over full production of all of that in that season. He's just phenomenal. He's a natural at it. And so
yeah, people don't realize how much goes into that. Where
it's insane.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea how time consuming and expensive and how it really is. Everybody's like, I wish I had, you're living the dream, man. You're doing a hunting TV show. And I'm like, I don't disagree that it's fun, it's awesome and it's fun, but it's stressful, man. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of planning, which that's life. But, to produce a high quality TV show and be different, we're kind of the black sheep of the outdoor television because of the added fitness side. We don't do a ton of in-your-face marketing. We have sponsors. That's how we pay for the show, right? But we try to respect the viewers too, with it and not have it totally in your face, have it be sincere. The companies we work with are companies that most of them we were already using before television. So the stuff that we believed in. So then we approached it and, you get some yeses and obviously you get a lot of no's, but I helped a new TV show get started this year and kind of helping them out. And it's funny because they get done filming the first season. They're like, I had no idea. Like, it almost takes, if you're not careful, it can take the fun right out of it.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's the one thing I think you learn as an entrepreneur or that as well is that, if it's something that you love, it might quickly become something that you hate, just based on, okay, now it's not only, financially demanding, but it's also, sometimes hearing those 27 rejections on something that you feel so passionately about can absolutely crush you. So that's, it's funny. I was reading a book the other day of, gosh, I can't remember a portion of it that the guy went in and he purposely started trying to get 100 rejections a day just so he could get used to the idea of rejection.
Yep.
So then he could go in there and feel more confident whenever he would do it. I don't know how that works. That, okay, I've been rejected 100 times, but this time I feel really good. I don't know how that works, but
we joke around about that all the time. I feel like I get an average of 100 no's for every yes.
Yeah.
So it's
there you go. You just wait for get those 100 no's in, and then
1%, right?
Yep, exactly.
So,
and then talk to me about a little bit of, okay, how can I get started in some of this?
Sure.
And as a hunter?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is like this time of year really kicks off, the new year of every year really kicks off application seasons. So you get online to all these different states, you're going to find their application due dates, what species you can apply for. Certain states are easier than others, but in all these different states, you can apply for a ton of these big game animals: deer, elk, moose, bighorn sheep, mountain goat, antelope. So if you're wanting to get into it, you just got to start jumping on these other websites. I don't rely on just South Dakota to be able to hunt, because you can't, and just like you wouldn't rely on any state for that. So for me, I want to hunt every year, and I want to go on a specific amount of hunts, and I have to film a TV show with this, right? But I would be doing it if I was filming the TV show anyway.
Sure.
If I wasn't filming the TV show anyway. So for me, I look at around 10 to 12 different states I apply every year for these different things. So I have to hit these deadlines when they apply. So every state has a different deadline. So like, for example, Colorado is April 3rd. The Nevada's coming up here in the middle of the month. And so I have these marked on my calendar. I get my applications in. Some states are more expensive than others. So depending on what your budget you can apply for, but most of the time on a lot of these states, you're upfronting a fee for the animal. If you don't draw, you get refunded. And so, depending on how many states, you can spend, a few $100 to apply, or you can spend a couple $1,000 to apply, depending on what you're doing. But a lot of that money is refunded. You are going to lose some money every year on it. But for me, it's an investment to go on these hunts, because drawing them is about the only way you can afford to do them. If for me, I can't go just buy an over-the-counter tag, from an outfitter and afford to do that. So
Right.
For the everyday guy, it takes a little research, but there are some great resources out there that do the research for you and tell you the percentages of different units to hunt for, different percentages to be able to draw that tag, that specific tag. So, but there's some great hunts in South Dakota. We have elk, we have bighorn sheep, we have mountain goat, deer, antelope. Obviously, the elk, bighorn sheep, and mountain goat are really tough to draw. Most of us will never draw the bighorn sheep or the mountain goat here in the state, because there's only a couple tags a year. So even with 30, like my dad has, I think 23 or 24 mountain goat points, which is, I think that's about as much as you can have. I think that's when it started. And he has like 33 years in the Custer State Park elk tag. So it's like, a lot of these tags, if you do draw it, you're lucky, but they're just, don't count on them is basically what I'm saying. So yeah, the biggest thing is get on those states' websites and look at those deadlines and get your application in. Do a little research on what counties, what units. There's great resources out there like Hunt and Fool and Go Hunt that break down some things for people. They don't have all the information out there. You still want to get online. That's where on the specific states' websites where the best information's at.
Awesome. Your favorite between the archery side of things or gun side?
Dude, that's tough because
that's
the hunting world is so like, it's kind of turned in. Well, the hunting and fitness world has merged the last like 8-10 years. It's really cool to see that. But it's so funny because you have these kind of like, I joke around and call them elitists, because you have these elitists like long range shooting guys, and you have these elitist archers who are like, I only bow hunt. Right. And I'm like, dudes, I want to do whatever I can do to get the most tags in my pocket to go hunting. So I'm like, I apply for every rifle tag I can. I apply for every bow tag I can. And I love them equally, because it gives me an opportunity to be out in the field. If I only archery hunt and I fill my archery tags by end of September, early October, and I'm done for the year, forget that. Like I'm going to hunt as much as I can.
Right. Yeah, that's. I wish I got the chance to hunt more. When I was playing football as a kid, I unfortunately had a rental attachment, so I pretty much sent my, my grandpa and father both hunted in the same amount.
Awesome.
My dad was a bird dog trainer, so we did a lot more, pheasant and things like that. But also, and then my grandpa was a commercial fisherman and trapper, and so I can remember we had as a kid, we had a mink and a ferret, and we had all sorts of random animals that were trapped, and we'd keep as pets. My dad had a badger for the longest time.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm a Wisconsin fan, so I love that even more.
So yeah, I have a picture of him holding up the badger, and it's just hilarious. But so of the things that you've had a chance to hunt, your favorite, and then one that you haven't done yet but you'd love to do.
Okay, that's tough. That's another tough one. You're getting me some good questions.
I'm trying to.
So elk hunting is totally like, I'm addicted to it. There's not much else out there that's like, it's kind of Jurassic. Like when you're out in a good unit, like in New Mexico, this unit that I hunt, there is bulls screaming everywhere. And you're out there and you mess up on one and you literally go to the next ridge and listen or call and you hear a couple other bulls screaming. And so it's like super drastic that it's like, okay, they're giving away their location because of the rut, right? That's when they're going out and they're finding females to breed. It's their breeding season. It only lasts for a month a year basically. And you're hunting them during that time. They're a completely different animal the males are during that time. And they're giving away their locations. They're screaming. They're locating cows. And you're going out and finding them because they're screaming. And then you're trying to call them in. And so, I mean, episode 2 this year, you're going to see a bull at a couple different bulls at like 10 yards. It's really sweet. So you can kind of feel that how it's different than anything like deer. You don't listen for them and go after them. So it's like, it's super Jurassic to me. Like you feel like you're in Jurassic Park. It's sweet. So that's probably my favorite thing. I've done a Barbary sheep hunt down in New Mexico. It's cheap man sheep hunting, but it's phenomenal. One thing that I want to do, my top of my bucket list right now is saving up for a Dall sheep hunt in Alaska. It's a pretty expensive hunt, but to me it's like I really want that physical challenge because it's nasty, rugged mountain range. You're out there, you're packing in a lot of equipment to get back to where you need to get a good ram. And so for me, it's like the animal's awesome, but the challenge is very much appealing to me. So it's a very rigorous hunt. Yeah,
it's funny that most people shy away from that, and it seems like you're trying to push into some of that stuff that is a little bit tougher for you.
So. Yeah, that and New Zealand, South Island, public land tar hunting. I mean, the mountain ranges there are stupid. I mean, they're they're pretty scary. Like they're intimidating. So that scares me a lot. So I want to do that one. Anything that scares me, I want to go do, kind of thing. So I don't know why, but it scares me. But I want to do it.
Sure. No, I mean that makes sense. I think that's a lot of why some of the athletes do what they do, because they kind of want to push those boundaries a little bit to see what their body's capable of and their mind's capable of. So
agreed.
All right, we got a couple questions on here. One
awesome.
From Spencer. None real. Well, okay. Chris is on there, the guy that actually suggested, and we talked about this a little bit already. But do you change your diet along with your training for different hunts?
That's a great question. So my diet stays pretty close to the same all year round. Somehow over the years I keep getting bigger and gaining weight, like not in a bad weight, but muscular tissue, skeletal muscle mass. And it's because I keep my diet fairly high. So, I mean, I'm taking, my protein intake's not crazy. I probably get in I'm 218 right now, 218 pounds and a fairly low body fat. Like I try to maintain that 14%, 15% as an average during my off season, because a very healthy percentage. My body just homeostasis there really easy. So my protein, like I'm getting in 170 grams is all, 180 grams on good days. But my body responds really well that I still put on skeletal muscle mass. Carbohydrate intake, I'm anywhere from 300 to 400. Most of my training days I'm hitting 400 carbohydrates for sure. Fats, I'm around like 80 to 90 grams of fat a day. So my diet stays around there. Like I found myself like New Mexico last year. Trained really hard throughout the summer because I really wanted to work on my strength. And that was one of my biggest goals last year. And so I found myself like a month out from that hunt. And so to answer his question, like I was like 222 in like August 1st. I had to go on that hunt September 8th. I tapered down my carbohydrates down to like 300, 310. So not a big drop, like 90 grams of carbs. And I shed a little body fat and got my body fat percentage down to like 11%. And got my weight down to, I don't know, I was like 211 or 212. So I didn't have to, I didn't lose any skeletal muscle mass. I just lost body fat mass, like 8 or 9 pounds, just because I knew the rigors of the hunt and I wanted to be a little bit lighter on the mountain. And I felt great, and I didn't really lose much. I ate a ton when I was out there, and so like I didn't really lose much weight when I was hunting. I lost some water weight, but I got back a week later and I bounced back quick. So I like to stay light on big hunts like that. Try to lose a little bit of weight and then feed myself like crazy as much as I can going into the hunt. But my diet stays pretty close to the same year round, unless I'm like hitting a super rigorous strength phase or something like that, or in strength and conditioning where my demand's really high. Then my carbohydrate intake it goes up even more. So
yeah, that's I get yelled at each time I say I'm going to do 300 grams of carbs, and so But that's good. That's good for you.
Yeah, it is. It's your energy source.
Yeah. All right. So next one is from Spencer Carlson.
Spencer. I know Spencer. He's a good dude.
He's asking LeBron or MJ.
Oh my gosh, Spencer would ask that, and I shouldn't even answer this on the podcast because he already knows the answer. He's like this. He's
a huge LeBron fan.
He's a LeBron fan.
Yeah,
I don't get these guys.
Anybody that asks this question is a LeBron fan. It's a staged question.
It is. It's staged because they want to walk you in. They want to walk you into a corner and low blow you.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's because he's a couple years younger, and I don't think he's not a real basketball fan. He's probably never even watched MJ real live on TV play. And understand that MJ is so amazing and great and will always be better than LeBron. No, LeBron's amazing, but I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I'm an MJ fan as well. That's probably my favorite just because of his, anytime it's just kind of his will to dominate it was huge. And I think LeBron has every bit of that as well.
Yeah, agreed.
And so it's funny. I was actually just watching. We're starting to do a lot of mental stuff here at the gym.
Sweet.
And so there was a video of LeBron talking about, losses and all this stuff. And what the things he said was, really eye-opening to me as far as how he saw himself as an athlete. So I think that was great. So
yeah, I've gained more respect for him over the last 2 seasons. Maybe I was really against, I just didn't like him at all. In the last couple seasons, he's grown on me a little bit. So
all right. One of the last things here, talk to me about the mental side. Obviously, that's huge because, like I said, it can be super taxing, and sometimes you just want to give up any of the mental side that you work with there. Or
yeah, I'm really into even just studying cognitive stuff right now that correlates back into that mental toughness, staying sharp. So the biggest thing for me is I found out, I think it was 2 years ago. I was training, but I was kind of just going through the motions of it, and back when I was in basketball and doing you're doing sprints and all this stuff, I would give 110% every single time, no matter how I felt. I think a lot of us do that, and I didn't realize that. I wasn't training near as hard, and I did this. One of my trainers was doing this hot TRX class, and she was like, "Hey, will you jump in it and just try to get so there's more people in it?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." So I jumped in, and we were doing different stuff, and I found myself if we were doing a 60 seconds of a specific exercise, I was quitting at 35 seconds or kind of being lazy with it, and it really woke me up. And I'm like, man, you are a mental midget right now. What is wrong with you? And and then it hit me that I've been doing this for 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. And I'm like, what in the world? So it woke me up all over again to get back to you need to challenge yourself in the weight room, because everything in your training, when you challenge yourself, it makes you so much tougher for things in life, right? Yeah. I mean, when you hit adversity in life, you're mentally strong. You can overcome. And so my biggest thing is, by having those workouts, and they don't have to be every single workout, but by having, those workouts that you are pushing your comfort zone and you really want to quit and you choose not to, you continue to take steps forward and hit another rep. That's why I love a lot of circuit training style with weights. Metcons, things like that they challenge you to continue when you really don't want to, and that makes other things in life so much easier.
Yeah, they say once that, what I've read a lot, I guess I should say, is once you hit that mental fatigue point, you're really only at about 40% of what you could do.
Right.
But it's that's starting to set in, and on our side of things, I've said this for the longest time. There's always 2 or 3 guys that you don't want to wrestle with or spar with in the room, and those are usually the guys, as long as they're not trying to hurt you and things like that. I mean, those are usually the guys that you should go with, so that way you have some of those things to look back at and say, okay, I did this, and I got through it, everything's fine, and build on that rather than shy away from those things, just because then you're only setting yourself up for failure a little bit as you continue to kind of avoid the things that you might struggle with. So
yeah, and I mean, in doing those things that you're not good at, that's what I've been trying to do. Things that have kind of sparked my interest lately is how you hear some of these ultra marathoners and people that are running these 250-mile races in the mountains in Utah, the Moab and stuff, and you're I can't even comprehend it, because I don't want to run 3 miles. I don't want to run a 5K. I love sprinting. I love going 100 meters. I love going 200 meters. But some of these people that are doing those things that are meant, it's not physical at all at that point. It is 100% mental to get through those things. So for me now, I'm going to so I started doing more running. Like, I absolutely hate it because it's so boring and it's mind numbing. But
Yeah.
it's just for me because I'm so like I like productivity and fast paced stuff, and so like it's good because my mind kind of like gets into a state where I'm thinking, and I can focus just on like generic things that I should be focusing on or getting true to myself. And so getting out, like for me, I suck at long distance running, so I'm trying to do at least a day a week, 2 days a week where I'm getting out there and hitting some miles. So just things like that challenge us mentally.
Yeah. For me, that's the long distance stuff, which ones that I hate doing. Is
perfect. Found a running partner, guys.
I did some of like the genetic DNA testing. That it says that I should be perfect for that. It's like all like no like based on like my genetics and things like that. I'm built for like almost no power and all endurance, so that I should be a good long distance runner. But yeah, you couldn't.
Lies.
Yeah, you couldn't pay me enough. But okay, a couple more ones real quick, and I think this is a jab. Run to gun or whitetail fit. Who would win?
What's whitetail fit?
I don't know.
Oh, that answers your question.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Jeez. Shots fired. All right, and Zach Eli says can't wait for season 5. Andrew Flores says keep up the good work, Jordan.
Hey, thanks, Andrew.
Let me know when you're back in the Fort Collins area.
He's a great dude. I met him randomly a couple months ago out at the gym out there. That was really cool. He was following me on Instagram and saw that we were in the area. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Getting to meet people like that's really cool.
And then Nate Anderson says cool pickup, Jordan. So
nice.
I don't know where that was from. But all right, that's pretty much all I had for you. Like I said, it was awesome, and thanks, Chris, for telling him to come on, and thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
It was a good episode, and I think I've learned a lot. And then now I might actually have to start doing more hunts and try to figure out how to hunt or how to shoot on the opposite side of the non-dominant side. It's gonna suck for me, but you're getting me excited about it. So
you should do it. It'll be awesome.
All right.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.